Good day, it's January 7th, 2023. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould and welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban. Welcome to a new year here at The Pulse.
We begin with stories that are dominating the headlines. After the release of the final report of the J6 committee in the House of Representatives that investigated the Capitol insurrection in January 6, 2021, so much was revealed as to the many bad actors and players, and centered upon former President Donald Trump and his effort to reverse Joe Biden's election. Some of the most explosive revelations on records obtained by the committee's investigations, damning evidence of criminal conspiracy involving Donald Trump, lawyer John Eastman, and the former president's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Several state officials in many Republican-controlled states participated in the discussion of the plan to steal the election from Joe Biden by organizing fake electors that was going to be submitted to Vice President Mike Pence. Even Nevada State Republican Party officials were likely involved, but was fighting a subpoena. Such official eventually lost in court.
The certification of Joe Biden's win in Congress is symbolic, peaceful transfer of power, whereby in the ceremony, the Vice President counts the number of electoral votes casted by state electors, and is the same number that was the result of the election already certified by the Secretary of State of the individual states, like Nevada. In Nevada, where Joe Biden won, has to cast the 5 electoral votes.
Uncle Sam, what's going on in the Arizona noise by MAGA candidate for Governor Kari Lake?
For sure, Kari Lake lost the election to Democrat Katie Hobbs. What she's doing is she's following the footsteps of Donald Trump, and she had already filed a total of 8 lawsuits in state courts to reverse the election of Katie Hobbs, and claiming that, you know, she wants to be, her goal was that in the lawsuit, she wants to be declared the winner of the gubernatorial election. But Superior Court County Judge Thompson had already dismissed 8 of those cases as frivolous. And the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors and the team of Katie Hobbs had filed a petition with the same judge to slap Kari Lake with about $700,000 in fine and actual damages on the cost of the legal fees and the filing fees that they incurred because of this, what they dubbed as a frivolous lawsuits. But yesterday, as early as Tuesday, I would say, the judge disagreed with the petitioners, but instead he ordered Kari Lake to pay $33,000 in actual attorney's fees for the lawyers of spent on the lawyers of Katie Hobbs. That's what, and that would send a signal to her that if you wanna just keep paying, keep filing, because it's not going anywhere. She has all the lawsuits that were reviewed, or even on evidentiary hearings by Judge Thompson. Kari Lake and his witnesses and his lawyers could not present a definitive evidence what they're talking about. For example, they even their last evidentiary hearing was about a printer. They said, yeah, the printer was like, it's a theory that the printer was printing something else than the computer that counted the machine. So that the printer was programmed to print the wrong numbers. That was the contention of Kari Lake's legal team. But the witness they presented in court was supposedly a witness in election technology that was funded by my pillow guy, Mike Lindell. He spent for his trip to Arizona of this supposedly expert witness, but the judge was not having it. In court, this expert witness was debunked. Couldn't just pinpoint an exact technical problem why a printer would print something else versus what the computer is saying. And the judge said, you know what? There was no one in Arizona who wanted to vote were not able to vote, and those who voted, their votes were counted properly. That's what the judge ruled. It's like, I don't know if Kerry Hubbs will continue to do his MAGA. Of course, he's doing it continually in social media. That I'm the winner. Exactly like what Donald Trump was doing that led to the January 6th insurrection.
So no basis on the discrepancies?
No, the judge says no, I couldn't see any evidence on it.
Interesting. We will take a commercial break, so please stay with us. Welcome back to The Pulse. The Christmas holiday travel was an utter chaos around the country. It was reported that more than 14,000 flights during the 3-day weekend were canceled, and that 90% of those cancellations were by Southwest Airlines. Millions of passengers, holiday travelers, were stranded. How did this happen, Uncle Sam?
First, let's just say that the Thanksgiving holidays and the Christmas Day holidays is what they call the heaviest of the travel. The volume of travelers are usually on those two holidays in the United States: the Thanksgiving weekend and the Christmas weekend. Okay. Now, what happened was, coupled with the bad weather that affected 48 states, people were already warned. Let's say, if you don't have to travel essentially, even the president had told the country in a press conference that please, stay at home. This is going to be very dangerous. If you don't have to travel, don't travel. But, people always say, you know what, I'll take my chances. Oh, it might not affect if I'm going to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it might not be as bad there. Or if they say, if even Phoenix might not be bad, but that kind of like a storm was like from north to south and to the east coast, all the way. And now we're still experiencing the blizzard in Buffalo, New York, which was one of the worst they had seen in probably 10 years. So, but the utter chaos, actually, it was a total breakdown of the Southwest Airlines system, what they call the scheduling system, which is a computerized version of dispatching airplanes and flights. So it's like each particular airplane, for example, a particular airplane going to Las Vegas that might be coming from, for example, Atlanta, Georgia, will fly to Las Vegas. And then from Las Vegas, it's going to be programmed that that particular aircraft is to fly to Boise, Idaho. And from Boise, Idaho, it's programmed to fly back to Buffalo, New York. Fly to Buffalo, New York, and from Buffalo, New York to Salt Lake, Utah. one stoppage of that particular identity of that airplane, it just was totally messed up. That, I think the other airlines other than Southwest Airlines would manually override the system such that if the airport in Buffalo is closed, they're going to divert that particular plane probably to Atlanta, Georgia. That's just my imagination. But that's why the other airlines they didn't have that kind of problem. The only problem with airlines other than Southwest is that they were forced not to fly there because the airport is not landable. They couldn't land on that airport because of heavy snow. But they are diverted to other airports that are still operational. But with Southwest, there's reliance on the computerized, that's what travel experts and travel analysts was saying. And Southwest Airlines officials had explained this, that's what happened. There was like a bug down in their computerized, airplane assignment or dispatch system. So thousands of passengers being stranded, luggages are all over the gates of the airport or in the check-in areas. We've seen it on all network, like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's the busiest time of the year.
It's the worst, that this would go down in history as the travel fiasco of probably the century, if not, because we've never seen this before. Even in the in the 9/11 attack, after the attack, flights were canceled and things were organized, like people will find a way to get where they're going, like buses, things like that. But this one, in the middle of a big storm where people have nowhere to go, people really got stranded. And this was on the Christmas Eve, begin that 3-day weekend, starting that Friday, and then on the Saturday, Christmas Eve, and it is spilled over till like about 3 to 4 days after the Christmas holidays. And that was one of the stories that really dominated all the networks. Besides the J6, the January 6th committee reports, the other one that really dominated all the news media was the travel fiasco on Christmas Eve.
Well, to those who are traveling this time of the year, yes, please be safe. Uncle Sam, there's a very interesting story out there. Please tell us about the man who never was.
Oh, you're talking about Congressman-elect George Santos. Okay, George Santos is one name you've never heard of before. Not even the media had heard before. It's like a first-time entry into politics. But he had already admitted in multiple media outlets, including Fox, that the content of his resume was an embellishment. But he chose the word, he knew what he was doing, that he's gonna use the word embellishment. That of course I embellished my, I inflated, embellished my resume. But now he's saying like none of them are true. I didn't go to Baruch College. I didn't work for Goldman Sachs. I didn't work for Citigroup. And now he's saying that I'm not even, I have not a drop in my blood is Jewish. Because during the campaign, he was like, many the Jewish community also supported him because of the fact that he said that my grandma was Jew and they were survivors from the death camps in the Nazi Germany. So, but now that investigative reporting revealed that no, you never worked. They couldn't find you in Baruch College, you named. They couldn't find you at Goldman Sachs or Citigroup. What was this all about? But the funny thing is that Kevin McCarthy, who is vying for, he wants to be the Speaker of the House, and the House Republicans are utterly in chaos right now. Not all of them are supporting McCarthy. There are so many factions, sub-factions. Not like the Democrats, like when they comes to electing their leader, they're one. But the Republican Party right now is in a state of, it's just pathetic to see that, that's what we have. When we come back, as we were telling you, we will have a guest here on the show, assembly elect, and we'll go for a commercial. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to The Pulse. Here with us today is Assemblyman-elect Reuben De Silva. He will be among our freshman group in the Nevada State Assembly. Reuben is an immigrant from India and he grew up in Las Vegas. His family moved to Las Vegas when he was in the grade school. Now, Reuben is with the Clark County School District and teaches at Rancho High School. He will be joining us in our discussion here in our show, soon to be Assemblyman Reuben De Silva. Welcome to The Pulse.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to be in our show, Reuben. First, what can you say to your constituents in your district and your fellow immigrants in Clark County?
Mm-hmm. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for having me as a guest on this show.
Pleasure. Yeah.
And to my constituents, to the voters of Assembly District 28, to the great people of East Las Vegas, I want to say thank you for trusting me with your vote. And it's a great honor, and I'm truly humbled to be representing you in the Nevada State Assembly. And to my fellow immigrants, we're part of this country as well, and we have a lot of work to do to gain parity. Oftentimes we see that we struggle with education, access to healthcare, jobs, being a part of the society. We have a lot of issues with people treating us as foreigners and outsiders.
Yes.
And it's important to see immigrants elected to office, and to also now work towards the betterment of new Americans in this country.
That's wonderful. I understand the Democratic Party was able to pick up 2 more seats in the Assembly.
Yes.
And you will be starting in the Assembly where we have a divided government, where the state legislature is in Democratic control, and we have a governor that is Republican. My question is, do you see this as an obstacle to the various programs and legislations the Democratic lawmakers are thinking of advancing for the next 2 years?
Yeah, I would have liked to see, of course, a Democratic governor. I campaigned very vigorously to see Democrats elected up and down the ticket. But we do have a divided government, and that's a reality now. And there are some things that we all have to change in regards to our legislative priorities, our agenda. We're still going to strive for progress and to again fight for those values that Democrats hold dear to us. But there is a reality there that we have to work with a Republican governor. But I'm optimistic. I think that we're still going to be able to get a lot done. We have a strong supermajority in the Assembly, and a strong majority in the Senate too. So the Republicans also have to work with Democrats in order to get anything accomplished this session. But I am of good faith here. I think that we can come to the table and look at the priorities and needs of Nevada as a whole, regardless of being red or blue. We have important things that we have to accomplish, and I'm looking forward to working with the newly elected Governor Lombardo in achieving these goals for the people of the state.
I'm optimistic too on that, because this is not the first time we had a Democratic-controlled legislature and we have a Republican governor. It was during the time of Brian Sandoval. The There was a good working relationship, I think, because there are so many things that were accomplished during Brian Sandoval's administration. So I keep that optimism too.
We have to be optimistic. We have to be hopeful. We have to be hopeful.
Assemblyman De Silva, is there a particular or specific bill that you already have in mind that you plan to submit to the Assembly?
Well, that's a good question. Well, as a freshman assemblyman, I get 6 bills. In totality, there's 5 that are already introduced. We had a deadline earlier in December. Then we have another bill that we have the opportunity to introduce in February, early February. So we have a totality of 6 as freshmen. More senior assembly members, they get more bills. And senators, of course, also have a significant amount that they can contribute. So I had to be very careful in regards to the amount of bills that I had, of course, and the sort of issues that I wanted to tackle. And as a public school teacher, as a person who strongly believes in public education, 4 out of the 5 bills that I introduced are pertaining to education. 3 of them to K through 12, and the other 2 with higher education. So education would be my priority, and it has been the priority with the sort of bills that I've submitted, and I've submitted 5 already.
Any specifics that you can share with us?
Yeah, we're still working the details out.
Okay.
But there's going to be one bill that's going to be focused on tuition for combat wounded veterans and their families. There's another bill, again, this is pertaining to higher education, that's going to look at residency requirements for immigrants. This is a bill that's going to be focused on the immigrant community and some of the issues that immigrants have in accessing higher education and trade school in the state. So those are 2 bills. The other 3 are very complicated. One of them has to do with weighting and the sort of per pupil spending mechanisms that we have in place in our state. There's another one that's looking to define certain terms vis-a-vis contractual negotiations for collective bargaining, and so on and so forth. And so those are the sort of things that I want to work on. You know, I'm a strong believer in unions. I want to make sure that we have this language in place in our NRS and our statute to allow us to bargain properly. I also believe in again access and also per pupil funding should be a mechanism now that follows the most students who are at risk and who have the most need. So these are the sort of issues I want to tackle when it comes to education. It's really about access. It's about helping students who oftentimes have a more difficult time than others, immigrants included, in this pool of people. And so that's really going to be my focus when I'm in the assembly.
Wow, you've been doing your homework way before the assembly starts, or probably you've been thinking,
I've been thinking
about these things even for years. Yeah. Okay, are there already committee assignments?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just received committee assignments recently. So I'm very thankful and honored and humbled really to have been chosen by our speaker, Steve Yeager, who's going to be the speaker designate, speaker of the assembly, to be on the education committee. And I've also got a role now on the government affairs committee.
Is that like a subcommittee or this?
These are the actual standing committees.
Okay.
Yeah, so the education committee, the government affairs committee, and then the committee on legislative operations and elections. I'm very happy with my committee assignments, and I'm looking forward to the work at hand.
That is wonderful. Reuben, there are 3 of you who are freshmen in the upcoming assembly. Of course, and plus 1 more that is returning. So that's quite. It's relatively a big group for a certain start of the legislature that you have like 3 new freshmen. And then I believe Shay Bacchus is coming back as a returnee. There was a 2-year skip, and then she was re-elected this year to go back into the assembly. And from what I understand, you had the assembly was the Democrats were pick up to 2 more seats. And 1 more seat in the state senate. Yeah. That's it's
a big deal. And you know, it's actually probably closer to 3 times the number of the freshmen that we've had. We have a significant amount of freshmen who are coming in. And I'm very excited.
And I was only looking at Clark County.
Clark
there
County,
are other, you know.
But across the state, we've picked up several, freshmen who are now going to be serving both Republican and Democrat. Of course, there's more Democrats. But I'm very, very impressed with the sort of caliber, the sort of talent that we've been able to put into our assembly this election cycle as freshmen. We have educators, we have people who are involved in the business community, nonprofit executive folks who have been a part of our community for a long time as non-elected officials, and now will have the chance to bring all that expertise, all that experience to the table as members of the legislature.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, we're nearing the end of our show. Reuben De Silva, Assembly-elect for District 28. We very much appreciate you for sharing your time with our audience. Last words from you for the people of Nevada.
Again, thank you, Amy and Sam, for having me on your show today. I'm very excited, about the legislative session. Nervous, but excited. I think that we have the opportunity to do some great things for the state. And again, I ask you, the audience, the people of Nevada, to actually participate. So when you hear about town hall meetings where you can talk to your assemblyman or senator or governor or whoever is showing up, please participate. Be at those town halls. If you have the opportunity to testify, whether coming up to Carson City and lobbying for a bill or for an issue that you strongly believe in, or showing up to the Grant Sawyer building here in Las Vegas, where you can telecommunicate with all the committee hearings and all the happenings of Carson City, I strongly encourage you to participate. In the end, we're a democracy, as I mentioned earlier, and we're strongest when we have a robust and a healthy participation of the people of that democracy. So that's really my ask of you, to participate, to be active, to be engaged, and we can together make this a better Nevada.
Thank you so much, Assemblyman Reuben De Silva. Thank you
you
for inspiring us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes.
Once again, I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould. Thank you for watching this episode of The Pulse. We hope you join us again next Saturday for the new edition of The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban. Thanks for watching, and God bless your week.